Okay, I want to welcome everyone to Williams Island TV. As you know, this goes on, we do this every few weeks. This is a special meeting today and a special TV show, primarily because today is an opportunity to meet the leadership of Aventura and the future leadership of Aventura. I would be remiss if before we start, I don't acknowledge that one of our fine residents of Williams Island, Mr. Billy Joel, is sitting here with us. Billy, why don't you come in front of the camera for a minute, let them see Mr. Commissioner. But he can't play the piano, but he's a hell of a singer.
Thank you very much. Always like the cameras.
I know that. I realize that.
I wish you all a lot of luck. I'm looking forward to my new commission with me very shortly in November.
Yes.
Nice to see you all.
So that being said, in order to be totally impartial as to this, because I am right now a sitting commissioner and I will be for another couple of months, there is another candidate running, and I would like to acknowledge he was invited to be here, but he couldn't be here. But he did write a little note that he asked me to read, and his name is Alberto Zalzberg, and he said, "Hi, thanks for your help and thanks for the invite. I wanted to introduce myself to you. I'm Alberto Zalzberg. To tell you a little bit about me, I'm Jewish, father, husband, immigrant, marketing specialist, and business owner. I'm running for City of Aventura Commission for the next election because Aventura is a city I choose to live, a place where my kids were born, and a place I call home. I want to share my contact information for anything and anyone that I can be of help with. Thank you very much, Alberto Zalzberg." And when we play this, we will have his contact for anyone that wants it. First, let me introduce you. Howard Weinberg is the mayor-elect. He's already gone through everything, and I'm going to tell you a little about Howard in a minute. We have Michael Stern, who is a past commissioner, who is now back with us again. Amit Bloom, who unfortunately has somebody running against her, Alberto, but be that as it may, Amit was the editor of the Aventura magazine, along with Michael. And then we have Paul, who probably needs no introductions, because if you've all been to Moe's, you know he's the fine proprietor of Moe's and a resident of Williams Island as well. So let me just tell you a little about what we're doing here today, because I know I said we want to introduce you to the candidates and the leadership, but I do take this today very personally. I've been on the commission myself for 8 years. I will be timed out at the end of November, or the beginning of November. When we started the elections for this coming year, I decided to run for mayor, which I'm allowed to do as a commissioner. And I knew that Howard Weinberg was going to be running against me. He had already registered to run. During the few months that I had registered, I met with Howard a few times. And Howard used to say to me, "I love that you're running, I love the competition, I love the fight, I love the challenge, I love to go in, and this to me is more important, and I just can't wait to have this campaign." Well, I didn't really believe him. Nobody wants to spend $100,000 and have a fight and have a campaign, especially against me. No, I'm only joking. But anyway, but we did meet, and I must tell you that after about my third breakfast, that he made me buy, by the way, I never have met somebody who wanted something so badly. And of course, I've had my moments in life. We've had some wonderful times. I've served 8 years with the commission. I served 6 years of those with Howard. And I realized he wanted this so badly, and I really watched him grow and mature during the years that we worked together. So I really felt, you know something, it's his moment in time. I've had so many of those moments for myself that I dropped out of the race, and hopefully Howard will win, which obviously now it turned out was the best thing because he has no competition. So I'm thrilled to know that my decision has helped Howard, but more importantly that Howard will now run the city with us, with hopefully all of us here today, and be our next mayor. So to me it's a little bit more personal than maybe to most, but I really did want to say that about Howard. Michael I've known for many, many years. I've known him as a commissioner and a personal friend. And I don't know of many people that have the stature, the ethics, the honorability, and if I could use the word mensch, I would say that's Michael. Amit, I've also known for a long time. I can't say enough about Amit. She's an amazing person, ran an amazing business, knows Aventura probably better than all of us because her magazine, Aventura, has been something that's been so close and dear to our hearts and knows everything about whatever is happening here. So I think if Amit wins, it's a natural for the city to have somebody that's so intimately familiar with it. Paul, we're not sure why he's going to do this. He's unopposed, but we know he'll have lots of great bagels at the meetings. But on a serious note, Paul is very politically involved, not because he has political aspirations, but because he's been running the cheers of Aventura. He's been so involved with bringing politicians running, whether it's Democrat, whether it's Republican, whether it's bipartisan, nonpartisan. He just gives everybody an opportunity to voice their opinions, say what they want to say, and have a voice and have a place to do it in. And again, to say he's so involved with so many charities and such, that we're thrilled that you're going to be on the commission. And again, say, as a resident, what I love about what's here today, all of us that are here, and obviously I'll be done soon, I feel one of the most important aspects somebody has to have in being on a commission of a city is, first of all, it's not political in the sense that it's not a Democrat or Republican elected official. It's bipartisan. People work together for their personal beliefs for the good of the city. I feel that what's wonderful about the four candidates here now is the fact that they don't have political aspirations to go further. They have political aspirations to do the best for Williams Island. So this is not a stepping stone to something else. This is a stepping stone to the good and to the betterment of Aventura. And for those reasons, I believe what we have here today is an amazing group of people. I'd like to have you introduce yourselves because obviously I've said enough. Paul, tell us a little about yourself.
Good afternoon, Bob, and thank you so much for giving us all this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here. You've been an incredible leader. You use the word mensch. You've always been an incredible mensch, involved with so many great causes, and seeing what you've done as a commissioner, which has been terrific, and being a 30-plus year resident here in Williams Island, also being president here. So obviously, you're someone who cares enormously about our community, about our city, about our state and country, and I applaud you for that. Billy Joel, neighbor in my building, and known you for many, many years. You campaigned at Moe's. Well, everybody campaigned at Moe's when they were coming for the commission or for mayor, and you're also mentioned, also very involved in community activities and in philanthropy, and it's terrific. And again, everybody that we have in the commission now, or that we'll have in the commission, are people who get it, who understand the importance of giving back, and are doing it for the right reasons. And that's why I'm excited to run. We're not like most cities, or many cities and municipalities that are at each other's throats, fighting, bickering. All we care about is the betterment of the city of Aventura, and that's why we're doing it for no other reason, like Bob said. Howard is going to be a great mayor. No one has better preparation. He's studied government and politics in school. He's been commissioner in Surfside, and then now has been in Aventura. So he's extremely well prepared, and he has been involved all along. Michael, I've known for many years, not only in Aventura Magazine, but also someone who's been very involved in the city with the police department and other aspects of the city, and also a terrific guy, and I couldn't agree more, a mensch, and somebody who has incredible ethics. And last but not least, our dear friend Amit Bloom. I really, really highly encourage everybody to vote for Amit to round off this great commission, because Amit is extremely well prepared. She is very talented. She is very caring, very passionate, very giving, and I think that she brings an added dimension, as does everybody on this panel, to the commission that will give us a synergy where we can work together for the betterment of Aventura, which is already a wonderful city. That's it's a pleasure to live in, but there are certain challenges that we have to confront, and I'm very confident that doing it together with this wonderful group of people and the sitting commissioners like Billy Joel, Rachel Friedland, and Linda Marks, I think we'll do a very good job. I also want to let you know that we're here because even though a lot of us were already elected or commissioner-elect or mayor-elect, that we want you to know that we're going to be very accessible. We want you to know that we want to hear your concerns. We want you to know that that we are here for you. This is why we're doing this. And so our doors will always be open, and we thank you for your support and your confidence in us, and we look to repay that back to you. So thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Not only do I want to know about you, but while we're doing this, tell us a little about what you're going to bring to the table, what you feel, if there's shortcomings or things that you can improve on, because you have such an insight into the city.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for everyone who came. Thank you for coming back. I met you last time. Thank you to all the viewers who couldn't make it today but are watching on TV. I wanted to thank, before I answer your question, I wanted to thank Bob. Bob has been an amazing resource and supporter, and I've learned a lot from him. I had the pleasure of serving on a school board with him when my kids were younger, and learned a lot from this wonderful gentleman. So he was an amazing asset to the school. He's an amazing asset to the city, and I thank you for your years of service as a commissioner. And I want to thank the gentlemen sitting here at the table with me, because Howard and Michael and Paul have all been extremely supportive of my campaign. And there's a natural friendship that you see happening here because we're all like-minded and aligned, and I think that's good. I think that's good when you're working together to make things happen for the betterment of the city. You want people who genuinely respect each other and genuinely get along. So I thank you all for that. So just to tell you a little bit about myself and what I'm bringing to the table. So again, my name is Amit Bloom, and I am one of the co-founders of Aventura Magazine, along with Michael Stern and with my husband David. We started Aventura Magazine 23 years ago. And we sort of became the unofficial marketing arm, if you will, for the city. It was our job to make sure that the city of Aventura was featured in the best possible light to the regional area wherever we were distributing the magazine. And that was something that we all felt very passionate about, and something that I took very seriously as editor-in-chief. Fast forward to 2020, March of 2020, we sold the magazine. So it might look a little bit different to those of you who are longtime readers, but we're still very excited to see that the magazine is in print. Along the way, in addition to being publisher and editor of the magazine, my community service didn't really end with the magazine. It was just the beginning. Through the relationships that we made from the publication, I became very involved in the city. So in 2005, I believe it was, I was appointed to the City of Aventura Community Advisory Panel. In 2010, I was appointed to the Aventura Arts and Cultural Center Advisory Board, because in another life before the magazine, I actually have experience in commercial theater. So that was a really fun time to get to see the building go from just drawings to an actual building. So that was really exciting. And most recently, I'm on a panel that Michael Stern started called the Aventura Police Department Community Ambassador Panel, whose mission is really to improve the relationship between residents and the police department, and to kind of bridge that gap where police officers aren't so much of an authoritative, negative figure, but more positive contributors to our community. And that's a wonderful organization, so thank you, Michael, for starting that. So in a nutshell, a very long story short, I've always been involved in the city since I've been here. I moved here when I was, in 1991, I believe we moved here, before the city was even incorporated. So I got married here, I had my children here, I raised my children here, I started my business here, I sold my business here. I think it's safe to say that my life and the city of Aventura is pretty much intertwined. So for me to take that next step to give back to the community, this was a natural evolution for me to want to serve in this capacity. I can't think of any better way to say thank you for all the fruits that this city has given me than to give back and to hopefully improve and maintain the City of Excellence.
Thank you. And Michael, I know you've been there before, so for you, this is a natural progression.
Yeah, very excited. 2005, I was elected commissioner for 9 years, term limited out, but I stayed involved since day one. And, you know, Billy, it's funny because Billy's ran 3 times, never had an opponent, so he doesn't know what it's like to run a campaign. So I obviously I was unopposed, so I know the feeling now. It's actually, it's very nice. But I was very fortunate to work with Billy for 8 years, Howard for 4 years, and I had such a great time, but now I'm so much more experienced, so much more knowledgeable about what's going on, but I stayed connected since I've left. And I will tell you that the commission after me have been awesome. This gentleman, he is so smart when it comes to development, and I will tell you that a lot of things that have happened over the past 8 years is because of his guidance and his experience. Not all of us understand development. Obviously, Bob has a lot of experience. So I think what we bring to the table is a diverse, very unique experiences, but collectively, I have no doubt this commission is going to be awesome. I am so excited because we all know each other. It's not like we're coming onto the commission and we have to get to know each other, what we like, what we don't like. Because we have so much years of knowing each other, it's going to be a natural. And what's great is that we're all independent, but we all respect each other. So it's great to have difference of opinions, because at the end of the day, we're all here for the same reasons, to do what's best for the city. And I promise you, us 4 and the 3 people that are currently on the commission, no doubt about it, have no agenda except to do what is right and what's best for the city. And I personally, 2 things I'm going to concentrate on is making sure that the redevelopment going forward is the best it can be, so we can give the residents the most, the best possible places to live. I mean, we have so many things going on. There's a lot of traffic. You know, the first thing you hear is, as a commissioner, can you fix the traffic? No, we can't fix the traffic. We can help mitigate it by doing certain things, but we also want to respond to resident concerns. We all have a lot of experience in dealing with people, so I personally want to hear what the residents have to say. I will give my cell phone number out, my email out. I will always be responsive, so I look forward to representing the city. And because Paul, I, and Howard have no opponent or elected, I will tell you, this is about one person. It's about the woman on my right. Out of everybody here, I've had the luxury of working with her every single day for 20 years. There is no doubt about it. She is extremely intelligent. She knows what she wants, and she has incredible ethics, and she's honest. She is going to make an incredible addition to this city. I highly encourage you to vote for her. Thank you very much.
Before I go to you, Howard, I have a little story to tell about Billy Joel, because you mentioned he's never had an opponent. Well, unfortunately, may he rest in peace, Jonathan Evans, who was a commissioner for a very short period, passed away, and there was an open seat. And seeing as Billy came from the same South area, he put his name in the hat to run. However, so did 3 other people. And Billy was panicking. And we'd meet in the restaurant. He'd say, I can't believe they're running, and I can't believe they're going to go against me, and I can't believe I have to run a campaign. And if that's the case, I'm not doing it. And we were at a temple dinner one night, and he's carrying on. He doesn't want to run. And he said, Bob, you got to take these people to breakfast and talk to them and convince them not to run. So, Billy, you owe me a lot of bagels, a lot of breakfast, a lot of scrambled eggs, because we accomplished it. But I will tell you, one of those people that was running against you is sitting next to you tonight, Steve Friedman, and I have no doubt that in the very near future, Steve will be sitting up here as one of the commissioners of this city. Howard is a unique individual. We worked together for 6 of the 8 years I've been a commissioner. Howard and I didn't always agree. He had a different way of doing things than I did, but we always respected each other. We always had a great deal of respect. And the one thing we always agreed upon, which I'd like you to talk about, is we get a lot of blame for the congestion, for the development, for the construction that goes on within our city. And unfortunately, he'll talk about this further, we as a Commission of City of Aventura have absolutely nothing to do with the density that's been allotted to these pieces of property. We can look at the aesthetics, we can look at the color, we can look at roof tiles, we can look at a lot of things, but when Aventura became a city, it had to grandfather in whatever the county had at that point given as density to these pieces of property. So Howard and I have always agreed on one thing, and he used to always get up when a developer would be there and there'd be opposition. He would say, look, if it's not going to be Mrs. Jones, it's going to be Mr. Smith, but there will be something on that property. So, Howard, why don't you expound on that? I know you're going to be a great mayor. I'm thrilled to death that you got it. You don't have to run because you can use all that money now for charities and for good instead of paper and posters and everything. Tell us a little about your career and what you see, but also talk a little about the development, because I know that was something dear to your heart.
Sure. First, let me say that Bob, you made a point at the very beginning, which I want to expand on just a little bit. We're really not like other cities, and that's a good thing. We really are more of a family environment. We're a real community. If you want to use a Yiddish word, maybe mashpacha, it's really not far-fetched what I'm saying. And Bob and I did serve. We didn't only serve together. We sat next to each other on the dais for 6 years, and it is true that at one point we were opponents. And as you said, we sat together. We broke bread together. We spent a lot of money at Paul's Restaurant together. Mm-hmm. And again, unlike other cities, we issued a joint, very magnanimous of Bob, we issued a joint email that we sent out to the community saying, what is the point of battling when we have a shared vision for what's best for our community? And Bob stepped back. And again, you don't see this in very many places. And it's one of the things that makes us special. And Bob, you're also correct when you say, it's a fact how badly I wanted the position. I had to campaign 4 years ago to change the charter just to allow a termed out commissioner to run for mayor, because I thought the continuity was important. And it is true, I am passionate about local government. Before law school, as Paul mentioned, I got my master's degree in government from Georgetown University. I love local government. This is the second city I've served in. I love public service. So it's all true. And now it's going to happen, and that is my commitment. And we are going to have a great commission. And I've asked Bob to stay involved 3 or 4 times. I'm not going to let him get away. He does a fabulous job here on the island, and he's going to continue to contribute to our city in a big way. So the bottom line is we have very exciting times ahead and a very ambitious agenda. Great things are going to happen. Everyone knows I'm very proud of the freebie that I worked hard on, but it's going to expand. It's going to be even take a greater role in our city. And there's other things we're going to talk about in the very near future, like expanding our schools because we have young families now and we have needs for them, our parks. So it's going to be great. But so to your point about the development, almost like a head football coach, we get more credit than we deserve and we get more blame than we should. With regard to our city that's only about 27 years old, we incorporated, subject to the existing zoning of unincorporated Dade County. The name Aventura, the neighborhood was around since the 70s, but incorporating as a city of Aventura was 1995. And the property owners in our 3.5 square miles have certain development rights. And you'll have someone in a particular neighborhood say, enough is enough, just tell them no. Well, just telling them no doesn't work. We're not allowed to just tell them no. We have to work with them. We can tell them no if they come to us for a variance, but as of right, there's certain things they could do. They can build 30 stories, for example, depending on what's located. We can't say no. What we do, what we try to do, what Bob and I try to do, is work with the developer to get something that's going to benefit the community while at the same time making their project better. And there is a way to do that. And we're fortunate that most of the developers in our community understand that, and they will work with us. From time to time, you have people that don't want to work with you at all, and you have to play hardball, and some deals are better than other deals. But when people tell us, okay, then just buy it, just make it a park, buy it out from him, well, then they'll be back in City Hall a month later saying, why is our taxes going up? And no one comes to City Hall to say thank you. That's why I always tell all the commissioners, there's no one at our meetings. You know why? Nobody's coming to say thank you. When there's a lot of people at the meetings, because you're doing something that they don't like. And nobody comes to our meetings. We want them to. Come and speak. Everyone gets 3 minutes. But we have the lowest tax rate in Dade or Broward. Number one, lowest, 1.72. No one else can say that. Why is that? We don't waste money. We don't give ourselves pensions. We don't give ourselves raises. All these things happen in our neighboring communities, by the way. We don't have drivers. We don't have big allowances. We don't take junkets to foreign countries. We just don't do that. We're here in the community for you. And that's why all of us, well, I don't want to speak for everyone because maybe someone will get mad at me later, but we give our cell phones out. Our only cell phone, not the fake one. The real cell phone that my kids call me on. Call me. We're all that way, all of us. And we're going to continue that way. With Billy out there, with Bob here, and with all the new people. And right now, we only have one person on the ballot. By the way, just as an aside, there's not a live soundtrack here, but the best thing I've heard in the last week, lots of people congratulating me, lots of people happy. I like the 5 or 6 people that told me they voted for me. Anyway, Amit is on the ballot. Amit's going to win. We're all going to do that for her, and we're going to have a tremendous commission, and we're all going to be part of that mishpacha that I talked about. Thank you. Thank you very much, Will.
All right. Obviously, we all know that the demographics in the city are changing drastically. And we on the island, we have 4,000 or 5,000 residents. We have had 175 sales so far this year. And I would say the average age is in the 40s, late 40s. We have seen the average age in this island, as well as the city, drop by almost 10 years. Where the average used to be 58 to 60, it's now 48 to 50. So to you, Amit, I know we have 2 schools. The high school is now in place. I do know that the present commission, and I'm sure the future, is looking into options as to how to expand the middle school. But tell us your thoughts on how you deal with the changing demographics, the youth that's coming in, and how that's going to affect your thought process and programming.
Thank you for that question. As I mentioned before, I had my children and raised my children here. And my children are now in college, but I remember when my daughter was ready for first grade, or for kindergarten rather, we applied for the lottery for ACES, and she didn't get in. And everyone was like, what do you mean she didn't get in? You have all these contacts, you have all these connections, how come she didn't get in? I was like, number one, that's how legit the city is. And number two, it's a real issue, and it's only become a greater issue as the years have gone on with not enough spaces for our residents. The demographics are becoming younger. It's so wonderful to see the parks always filled with kids with softball games and soccer games, and it's very exciting to see kids running around the neighborhoods and riding their bikes, and it's truly a beautiful thing to see that the city is getting younger and younger. But we do need to provide options for education for our residents. A lot of residents are moving in and are surprised when they can't get their child into the elementary school. The high school, I think, is a little bit less of an issue at this point, but it's going to become an issue for sure. So I know that the commission is very committed to finding solutions to expand the school. We've talked, now that we're not bound yet by the sunshine laws, but eventually we will be. But we've talked about ideas, working with developers, as Howard has mentioned, to find ways to expand the schools, because we need to do that. It's a need that we can't ignore, and it's not a matter of finding whether or not we should do it. It's just how we're going to do it and how quickly we can get it done, but we'll get it done.
Yeah, and just to add to that, the city right now is in the process of negotiating for additional property right near the high school. ACES, which is our junior and elementary and middle school, is totally packed with a waiting list of close to 1,100 people, kids. And that's just not acceptable to the city commission. That's not something that we want to be able to have to do. We don't want to turn down so many families. So we are negotiating. It's not to the public yet, but it's not to the public of which piece of property it is, but we are looking where if we can accomplish what we're trying to do, it'll increase our population in the schools by 500 to 600 children, which will eliminate 50% of that waiting list, which is an amazing opportunity for us. So I think the fact that we have parents here on this new commission coming up is a major plus, because you don't always have that opportunity. So you look at it from a more personalized area. But I want to ask you, Paul, you've been around a lot. You have seen everything and anything. And you've seen almost every candidate that's walked through the door and ran for any office in the state, probably. But on a local level, because that to you is your heart, I know it is. What areas do you think need work, or where you think you're going to concentrate your efforts?
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, I've had people from very local, all the commissioners, and not only Aventura, but all the surrounding cities, North Miami Beach, Golden Beach, Sunny Isles, and so on, as well as Miami-Dade County, state, and actually presidential candidates. So it's been a blessing, and I that's what I love about it, and that's why I got involved with Mo's in the first place, is because I love connecting people, I love serving, and one of my biggest causes, obviously, the U.S.-Israel relationship, which is very near and dear to all of our hearts. So that's why I do that. I moved to Williams Island in the beginning of 1990, and you're absolutely right. Back then, it was a retirement place.
It was,
basically.
yes.
I was a spring chicken here back then.
You still are.
Not quite,
Now
actually.
a rooster.
Actually, what's happened over the course of the last 32 years since is really very impressive, and it's really a testament to how well our city's been run, and what an attractive city we have, that we have so many young families moving here from all over the country and from internationally as well. So we have a very large, very diverse community, and it keeps on being that way. But you're right, that's going to be one of our challenges. What do we do? What can we offer younger families coming here, especially the young people? The schooling is one thing for sure we have to work on. That'll be a priority for the commission. Another thing is recreational activities and other activities that we can create for kids, for young people, because I think that's one of the main issues. We have the rec center, but an outdoor type, more outdoor type activities where they can play some basketball, play some pickleball, play soccer and so on. We already have some of that, but we really have to work on that a lot to create more activities. Maybe we can use the theater, for example, to create a theater program for young people, which would be terrific. But I think that's going to be one of my areas of concentration, is how we can help young people and help families do that, as well as with my connections in the community and locally and in the county and in South Florida and in the state, to make greater connections with our elected officials throughout the county and throughout South Florida and the state to benefit our great city.
That's great. Michael, I have a question a little for you, because I think we've experienced it here on the island, and I use the island only because the island is a microcosm of the macro of the city. But we're experiencing that probably 50% of our residents are from South America, Mexico. And it's created an issue where it's very difficult to have certain events, because certain people go to certain events that pertain to them. But I know briefly you had talked about it, but being part of it, by the way, I have to compliment you, 20 years with Amit, day and night, that's amazing. I know you have to, but you? No, but I'm just joking. It goes along with what we've talked about as this commission's cohesiveness. But in terms of the demographics being so much split, Dade County is almost 90% Latin. What kind of thoughts do you have as to how to get people to mingle more, have more events to, bring the two factions together, where it's not because they don't like each other, it's that they both have different types of demographics, they come from different cultures, and it's a difficult question, because we've been fighting this on the island, trying to find out ways that we can do it. And we're no different, so you're going to have an opportunity now to work with this. What would your thoughts be?
Yeah, that has always been a problem. I've been on the Community Service Advisory Board before being commissioner, and after I was term limited passed. So I was always involved in coming up with ideas for events. Community Service Advisory Board reports to the Commission. Commission gives the Community Service Advisory Board projects, and one of the projects has always been coming up with different events. And we've tried different events. Unfortunately, it's just the residents, for some reason, we just can't find that right event. We're always constantly trying to find new things. We had a jazz in the park. Founders Day, of course, gets a great crowd. We have pop-up events. There's, actually, I started movie night back in 2010. I was just remembering that was the first movie night we had, and I was the one who recommended that. So that's open to, of course, all cultures. But to answer your question specifically, I don't know the answer. I think it's our job to try new things and see what works. We do have a new communication program now that's going to connect us more to the residents. It's always been a problem communicating to the residents. A lot of people don't know what's going on. As Howard said, nobody really comes to the commission because there's really not much for them to complain about because they're very happy. But in order to get people more involved, we do have to find out an event that will bring the people. I think with the texting program that just launched, the newsletters that we're going to be sending out, the social media, we're getting more engagement. I think this is the first time since I've been involved in the city that I've seen the interactivity from the residents. This is the most it's ever been. So hopefully in the next couple of years, we can answer the question, but I really don't know what it is right now.
Because communication is really your expertise,
Yeah.
and we now have Evan Ross working with us on the, and I assume you're going to be working closely with Evan now on all of this.
He's already proven to be worth
Yeah.
every dime, and it takes time to make these changes, especially after so many years of doing things a certain way. Now that we have a little bit more progressive when it comes to communications, and we have somebody who's 100% responsible, there's already been a big change. And he's only been on the job for like 6 months. So I'm very confident over the next 6 months, we're going to continue to see more positive
That's great.
results.
Sure, please.
I just want to add one more thing to what Michael was saying and to your question. I think a nice way to bridge the gap between different cultures is usually through the children, through kids programming. Obviously sports, but more recently, and I'm going to give the credit to Michael Stern for this, with the Aventura Police Department Community Ambassador Panel, Michael is working very closely with both the city and the police department to put together a Halloween event on October 29th, on Saturday, October 29th, so for anyone watching has kids or grandchildren. It's going to be a wonderful event. It's going to be a very safe trick-or-treat type of environment. It's going to have a lot of fun, a lot of activities, movie night. So again, going back to how do we bridge the gap between different cultures, it usually starts with kids. A lot of our South American residents maybe aren't as familiar with Halloween, but when all of your kids' friends in school are going trick-or-treating and want costumes, they're going to want costumes. And that's a wonderful way to start integrating the community together. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Paul.
I agree with that. I think it's wonderful. I look forward to that nice event. Being from Venezuela, I'm very familiar with the culture, and we're very blessed that so many Latinos have moved here and made us a much stronger and more diverse community. I always joke that at the front of Moe's, what I've had to do is put up a sign that says, "We also speak English." But I think I say it half in jest because I think maybe an idea is when we publish the newsletters or publications that we do, whether it's on the island or for the city, we might want to start adding a little bit in Spanish if we want to attract the Spanish-speaking residents to get involved, making them feel more welcome and more included in everything that we do. So that might be an idea to do that. And we may also want to get some of the families to serve on a committee to say, what are the types of events or activities that would attract them and their families to get more involved with the city?
Well, you come from the culture, so you understand the separation of the difficulty as it. But I want to ask you, Amit, because you raised something very interesting. You ran a magazine that really, I think, did bridge that gap. Because I remember in the beginning, it was more, let's call it Anglo for a better word. But as the demographics changed and as it became more Latin, so did the magazine, by way of interviews, who you were featuring. How did you Because that's really part of what you're going to probably try to apply to the city.
Again, it goes back to programming. It goes back to events and reasons for people to get involved in the community. Interestingly enough, we actually did a survey when we owned the magazine about doing a Spanish section of the publication, and that was widely rejected, believe it or not, by Spanish-speaking people. They felt insulted by it, actually.
Really?
So we never included it because the South Americans, at least that were interviewed for the publication, expressed that they were highly educated, that they were bilingual, that they were living in the United States, and they did not want to be separated from the community
Yeah.
by having a separate language. So they felt that Aventura magazine, all in English, was good for them. So that just as an aside. But in terms of the content of the publication and going back to programming and events, as the community changes and as the community becomes more diverse, so things happening in the community also become more diverse. So yes, you have things like Halloween parties and Founders Day, but then you also start having events at the cultural center with Spanish flamenco dancers and singers and things like that. So it's kind of like, again, I'm starting to sound redundant, so I apologize, but when you bring programming that appeals to the community, friends in the community start to bring each other to those events, and they find a common ground. There's always common ground through entertainment and through fun activities, and I think that that's really one of the ways that we'll be able to bridge the gap.
It's interesting you say that, but when we opened up our cafe on the island, the little Starbucks that we have now, at first it was more for tennis players, it was more for whatever, because everyone always used to say, my God, there used to be a cafe here and there would be this great little grab and go and everything was great. We have found over the year that we've opened the cafe, that it's not any longer used only for the tennis players. We have found it's a total diverse demographics that are using it. The cultures have come together over just an area. As you know, you live here. You go there on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and it's absolutely amazing the diversity of cultures and the youth that's there. But I would say probably 75% of the people there are Latin. But it took one little community event, a food, which is nothing fancy, but I think that's, to your point, I think doing that is
Food and
exactly what's
entertainment is always going to get the people
Yes.
out.
I have yes, please.
So it was actually a fascinating question because one of the potential ideas that I have germinating in my head, and some I keep in my back pocket, and then we reach consensus on anything, and there's budgetary constraints, and we have to talk to the director of our parks and stuff. But one of the things I was thinking about, I'll digress just for 1 second. This past Sunday was a wonderful event that I hope will be an annual event. So let's call it, we just had the first annual adult softball tournament. We had both parks, 10 teams, playing all day long, double elimination. Had a DJ, you had some interactive games for children, you had food trucks. It was a fantastic event. And if you look at the participants, it is multicultural. The caliber of ball player that play in our leagues, I played, this is not representative of the caliber, but I played up until COVID, and then I discovered pickleball and I didn't go back. But I had the honor to throw out the first pitch at this tournament. So because it's softball, which is baseball essentially, you have the Venezuelan ball players, you have the Cuban ball players, you have Latin ball players some of whom played Division I baseball, some of whom played semi-pro. Then you have the backyard guys, the beer drinking guys, then you have the Jewish guys, you have the church group guys, and they're all together in the park. And it was just such a wonderful event, such a warm feeling. So one of the things that's been germinating around in my brain is the idea of a Founders Park Day of multicultural. So booths celebrating the different cultures, obviously a taste of Venezuela, a taste of this kind of thing, almost a mini Epcot, if you will. And people can wear costumes from their home countries. Obviously, it could be really, really exciting if done the right way, celebrating the cultures that exist just in our 3.5 square miles. So it'll be something that will be an agenda item at some point at a workshop.
Great. By the way, the city now has its first pickleball court getting ready to be built. We've joined I mean, it's just becoming, we just opened ours up.
I was going to say, but to your credit, you beat the city.
We did.
I understand you've got 4 just about to open.
We opened them.
Very
They
nice.
are now open, and of course, this time of the year, it's not as much, but in the season, it's packed. You can't get near those pickleball courts with what's going on today. But Howard, you've been there for a while on at the city, and you've been a champion of transportation. Howard is I guess you could say, the grandfather of Freebie. He has brought that in, and he has fought for it and fought for it. In fact, Howard came to me one day and he gave me a book. And he said, "You got to read this." I said, "What is it?" He said, "It's a study. I spent weeks riding the buses in Aventura. And you know, if you take a bus from one place, it goes to the Sia, then it goes here, and it can take you an hour and a half before you get where you really want to go." And he was so passionate about this. And then, of course, you started with Freebie and getting them involved and such. And we owe it to Howard, because it was his brainchild, it was his child, and it's working. But seeing as you've been so involved with so many of these ideas, why don't you give us a little taste of what has been done on the island, not on the island, in the city, what's going on, and what your goals are, what you want to accomplish to improve, because transportation and traffic has always been the biggest issue, but you're intimately involved with all of these things.
Yeah, thanks. Traffic is probably the thing we hear about most, and the thing we have the least control over. We don't own the streets in our city. They're owned by the county, controlled by the county, and then Biscayne Boulevard and Lehman Causeway is the Florida Department of Transportation. All we can do is ask. All we can do is arm twist. All we can do is make recommendations. But you're right. I did a little undercover boss operation for 4 months, riding the circulator buses.
By the way, Howard, you need a life.
I was told I was crazy many times.
Yeah.
You don't want to be riding those buses, trust me. That is the transportation method of last resort. So we were spending $1.3 million on buses that burn diesel fuel and go in circles all day long. For years, we were told that there were 25,000 riders a month. I never believed it, and I finally decided to look for myself. By my count, there were 5.2 riders for each 1-hour route on a 20-seat bus. And the part that stunned me was that during every 60-minute circle, by the way, no matter where you go, if you go to Fresh Market from the island, Williams Island, you're going to be on a bus for 60 minutes. It's a 5-minute ride, as you know. That would be 10 minutes total. You're on a bus for 60 minutes because every route is a one-way circle, okay? From Aventura Lakes to Sarah's tent is 58 minutes. As I told the commission, I go visit my sister in Boca before you get to your kosher food, okay? So what was amazing was, this is 100% true, for every 60-minute route, 20 minutes is spent in the Citibank parking lot while you sit on the bus. The driver gets off the bus and meets all the other bus drivers, and they're kibitzing around, and you're sitting on the bus alone because there's no other riders, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's 20 minutes of every route. If they're not there, they have a second favorite location. It's the JCPenney loading dock, and they park there. So I exposed this. All the commissioners knew that I was a Freebie advocate because I had done the research on that. So I said to the mayor, they're not going to believe me. And I was taking pictures, and I said, when I tell them that 20 minutes is spent, everyone's asleep at the wheel, literally. I said to the mayor, you got to ride the bus with me. And as luck would have it, we timed it. We sat for 25 minutes in the Citibank parking lot. I said, do not tell them who you are. I have pictures of the mayor sitting in a bus by herself. She's sitting for 25 minutes. And At this point, they were catching on to me. So I have a picture of me. I have a picture of the driver outside the bus taking a picture of me, taking a picture of him. Okay? At that point, it was spy versus spy, you know? But the money comes from the county half-penny transportation tax. That is the tolls on the expressway. That money is allocated to each of the 35 cities in the county based on population, must be used for transportation-related items. That 1.3 million could fund 10 freebies, where you could get to Fresh Market from here in 10 minutes instead of, or 5 minutes, 10 minutes total instead of an hour. So finally, as Bob knows, and Bob was part of it, the money is being reallocated. We have 8 freebies now. By next month, we'll have 10. I'm hoping for 20. Now, one of the things, as I mentioned earlier, that you try to work with developers. One of the things we're doing now is telling them, you're bringing more traffic into our city. You need to fund a freebie for 5 years. This is each developer that comes in, give us another freebie, give us another opportunity for people to keep their cars in the garage. Okay, so freebie is one solution, one mitigating factor. Another one is the Brightline that you mentioned. If we can get our major employers, all the retail operations in the mall and the hospital, give monthly train passes to your employees, all the thousands of people that come into work every day in our city. What if they didn't have to bring their cars? What if they can come in on the train and there's going to be a pedestrian bridge over Biscayne Boulevard? You get right to the mall. You're a couple blocks from the hospital. So the idea is, don't bring your car into our city. So that's just a couple of, and then again, I have other things percolating around in my head, like if you live in New York City, do you own a car in New York City? If you're on Brickell, do you own a car on Brickell? What if we have young professionals that want to live, work, and play in the city? Maybe one day they'll be able to buy a unit that doesn't have parking, because that unit should only be sold to someone that doesn't want to bring a car into the city. When they leave the city, they'll take Uber. When they're in the city, they'll take Freebie. When they're going to Disney World, they'll take Brightline, and they don't bring a car into the city. So these are just ideas. We have to continue to be forward-thinking, and I think I have the commission to do it with me.
I wish he was more passionate about transportation.
I know, it's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just want to expand a little on the Brightline, because for those that don't know, part of what's happening is Brightline will go ultimately from downtown Miami to here to Lauderdale to Disney World eventually. But if you drive down Biscayne Boulevard, right across from the mall, on the other side of Biscayne, on the west side of Biscayne, you're going to be seeing a train station being built. And that will be the Aventura station for the Brightline service. There will then be an overpass, walking overpass from that station to the mall. And then you can park in the Nordstrom's lot or wherever the case may be. So for people that are working downtown, as you just said, it's an amazing opportunity to not have to deal with your car. You park at the Aventura Mall, you walk across a bridge, you get on a train, and you're there in 15 minutes with no parking issues. So that's one of the things that is happening now. The station's being built. We figure the overpass, I'm guessing, is going to be very short-lived, and they will get it built. As a freebie, I think it's an amazing thing that's going on. Howard's right. The money spent for the buses is over $1.5 million, or close to $1.5 million, and unfortunately the ridership has dropped down substantially, especially because the demographics are changing in the city. And this is a perfect example of what the commission realized and what Howard's vision was: get these freebies in. It's really nothing more than a free Uber. They're all, and by the way, they're ecologically safe because they're all electric. Everything we're doing now with the Ubers or the freebies are electric, so they're not using fuel. But at this point now, you can pick up a phone and go anywhere within the city for free in a new Tesla. So for that, Howard, thank you. I know this is going on for a while, and I want to give everyone a chance to give their thoughts and sum up their beliefs. But I want to save a meet for last because I have something else to ask her.
Well, thank you so much, Bob. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. I just want to thank everybody again for giving us this opportunity and let you know that we are going to be very accessible. We're very excited about the journey ahead, and we look forward to working with you and talking to you and continuing to make this a city of excellence.
All I can say is if you've lived in Aventura for a long time, or even if you just moved here, you are extremely fortunate. It's not because of me or the people here, it's because of everyone who works at the city from top down. We are very, very lucky to have an incredible staff, incredible manager, incredible team that really looks to make sure that Aventura is doing what it can to be one of the best, if not the best cities in all of Florida. I challenge any city to compete with us. We are doing it right, and the representatives here, we're going to continue that vision, and I'm very excited to be your representative looking forward. So thank you very much.
Howard?
Thanks for this opportunity. I just want everyone to feel that you have an open invitation to be involved. Please come to the commission meetings. You have 3 minutes to speak. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Tell us if we're doing anything right. And I've already went to see the city manager and told him to plan to have every commission meeting live streamed. I want people to see exactly what's going on, 100% transparency, and come to City Hall if there's anything that you need to tell us. We welcome you. Thanks so much, Bob.
Thank you. I mean, I know you're the only one, these 3 guys are getting a free ride on this whole thing, and you have to work. But how do you feel having to campaign now? And I mean, what goes through your mind now? Because you have the next couple of months to do this. And of course, you fit in so beautifully with everyone that's here. How are you dealing with this, and what do you have to do now to get to the finish line? And what can we do to help you?
Thank you. It's actually been a really exciting time because I've been going around to different communities like the island and to different condos and meeting with people, meeting people at Moe's. Got to go to Moe's on Saturday and Sundays. So it's really been very exciting because I'm getting to meet people and hear what your concerns are, regular people, everyday concerns, everything from, noisy cars to, bringing big business to the city of Aventura. I mean, it runs the gamut, even to handicapped parking spaces and the enforcement. Like I hear so many wonderful tidbits of feedback and issues to address. So I'm really enjoying very much campaigning and meeting people. And I also have to thank the gentleman sitting at the table here with me because this whole campaign experience has been such a dream. All these meet and greets that we've been doing, I've been doing it with Howard and Michael and Paul, and they've been so supportive. And even though they were running unopposed, they made sure to go out there to all these events with me, and it's very humbling and a little embarrassing to sit here while they're talking all these nice things about me, but it's also really, really wonderful. So I really want to thank them all because they've been incredibly supportive. And I want to thank you, I want to thank Billy, I want to thank the entire current commission and the current mayor, Mayor Enid Weissman. They've all endorsed me. You all have been extremely supportive as well in your own way. And as far as my personal campaign experience has been, it's just been tremendous. It's wonderful to go out and meet people and connect with people, and it's very, very exciting. So thank you, and I hope for all of you who are getting your mail-in ballots or early voting or voting on November 8th, please vote for me.
It's interesting because I know nobody really wants to campaign, but there is an advantage to it. Billy never had the opportunity. I also almost had it, but you get to hear the people when you get out there. You get to hear their voices. You get to hear their concerns. So you really bring another dimension to the commission because you've been out there in today's world. We've all hear it, but not really directly. You're going to the people. You're going to hear them. So I think the knowledge you're going to bring to the commission is today's issues, and I think that's a great opportunity.
I think Howard is still campaigning. I still think
He is campaigning.
someone's going to run against him.
He can't stop himself. And Howard, I may decide to change my mind. I want to tell you, just in summation, is this is almost unbelievable to be able to have this kind of a, call it meet and greet. Where have you ever seen 4 people running for office or already pretty much won their office and yet this congenial, this carefully working together, this concern for the same city, no fighting, no bickering, nothing. It's to have some, and I thought carefully about doing this, because first of all, we did invite the other candidate. He was busy, couldn't make it. But it's unheard of that you could bring candidates together going into a city and look at how they work together and the friendship and the camaraderie they've developed. And this is the advantage of what's going to happen in Aventura, that you have a group coming in that already work together, care about each other, and have one goal in mind: to keep this city and to increase the ability of the city to enhance the lifestyle of everybody. So to me, it's an amazing thing. I'm a little sad that I won't be part of this, but I'm sure Howard will keep me busy in some manner. Just on another note, I will tell you, one of the things I do is I handle the finances, or I'm part of the advisory group that handle the finances for our city. And as Howard touched on, we have not had an increase in our taxes since the city's never had one. I will tell you, this city is so solid, and I'm not saying it to cast anything wrong on it, but financially we are stable, we have a balanced budget, we have excess in all of it, we have an investment program, we have money in the reserves that are unbelievable to a city, and because it's a city manager-run city first and foremost, we have never had an arrest, an allocation of something wrongdoing with the commission, and especially the people here. Their reputations are, above reproach. Billy, we're not sure about, but we're thinking about Billy. But on a serious note, it is an amazing thing. So I only wish you all the best. I'm there, but I am thrilled that this will be the next leadership of this city, because it gives you so much confidence, and I can't thank you all enough for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.